So here's a little follow-up on my FG1500. There's an earlier video that I did about 5 years ago when I first got this guitar. And recently, a well-known guitarist made the comment about this particular guitar, this actual instrument, that it had been modified beyond repair, kind of implying that it needed to be repaired. So this is just clearing this up. That earlier video was while I was in the process of making the modifications, which were all to the neck profile. These old Yamahas all had baseball bat necks. I have owned and have worked on more of these FG1500s than probably anybody in the world. Because back in the 70s, in the late 70s, the shop that I worked for bought the last 20 of these that were available from Yamaha. And they were available because they were all seconds, factory seconds, or instruments that had not been sold from the factory because they had problems. A lot of them had cracked bridges, a lot of them had top cracks, a lot of them had back cracks. That was basically most of those instruments. So the shop that I worked for at that time bought the last 20 of these, and I had to fix every single one of them. Some of them we just decided to not fix. We sold them as is. And I actually owned one for several years myself that I can't remember for sure what the problems were with it. I think it had a cracked bridge. So we replaced the bridge. We could get bridges from Yamaha. So anyway, this instrument came into my hands through a bunch of different hands up in Canada. And I got it from a guy that I traded one of my fancy, all silver worked cowboy electric guitars, and did a video while I was in the process of slimming down the neck to something that I did on all of these instruments that I've owned in the past, which I've owned two previous to this one. This is the third one I've owned. And I think maybe from that previous video, it was kind of, I hadn't done any of the finish work on the neck, but this is just to say that this instrument does not need any repairs. This instrument plays like a dream. The neck has been completely refinished. The neck joint, the binding, everything was new. I narrowed the neck up a little bit. Had to put all new binding on it, all with the same treatment, the same binding that was on the originals. The finish was tinted to match the original binding that's all still on the body. The back was stained and refinished to match exactly, because I never did any work to the back of the headstock, but the color match is absolutely perfect. Let's see if you can see the back. Anyway, this instrument is in just great shape. It plays wonderful. And JP, if you're out there, this is, if nothing else, this assures you that this instrument plays better than the one that than this one when you used to play it or have access to it. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds every bit as good, if not better. It's, you know, we're talking 30 years later probably, 30 or 40 years. Anyway, the armrest here just comes off with double-sided tape. If anybody ever wanted to take that off, it's an easy thing in the world to do. Everything about this instrument is original, except for the slimming of the neck, but it's done in such a way, you know, I've been building instruments and repairing instruments since I was 12 years old, and we're talking about 60 years ago. So this is a beautiful instrument.